From a climate-controlled bed that made no sense to the sharks, to the ring's ultimate redemption story as featured on Shark Tank, here's a list of Shark Tank rejects that became super successful. Everyone's looking to gain something from their appearance on the show. Now, you'd think that'd mean getting an investment, right? Yes, there have been some mega investments, such as Lori Greiner's $200,000 investment for a 20% stake in Scrub Daddy, a company that's stocked everywhere in the United States. Also, we can't forget about Bombas, the comfort sock and t-shirt company that received a $200,000 investment from Damon John in exchange for 17.5%. Scrub Daddy sales went from $100,000 to $209 million, and Bombas turned over $225 million in 2022. The original Comfy, Tipsy Elves, and several other companies have also greatly benefited from the investments. But that's not the only thing businesses are hoping to get from pitching to the sharks. In fact, a lot of the time, the investors are the ones who get rejected, especially if they're lowballing or undervaluing a business. No love is lost, because even if these businesses don't walk out those doors with a huge investment, they get their name out there. The exposure from a 10 to 15-minute slot on the show is enough to boost sales by upwards of hundreds and thousands. I find that a bit hard to believe. Mark Aramley had been working on his temperature-controlled sleeping solution ever since his days of engineering spacesuits for NASA. When Mark first appeared in Season 6 and pitched the idea, the sharks and everyone watching were as confused as they were curious. The climate-controlled heating system was a machine with a nozzle that changed the temperature of your bedding within 3 minutes. In Mark's words, the bed jet gives you that warm towel feel at night. It could also cool down your bed just the same and even had an alarm system, which was basically a rush of cold air in the morning to wake you up. Mark Cuban and Lori even tried it out for themselves, and they loved it. So when did it all go south? When Mark started talking about sales, or a lack thereof, BedJet had received $50,000 through crowdfunding, but at the time of airing, it hadn't sold a single unit. In fact, it was due to produce its first unit 6 weeks after Mark had pitched the idea. Now, pre-planning isn't uncommon, but the unreliability isn't really something the sharks appreciate, especially considering the fact that BedJet was asking for $250,000 return for a 10% stake. Kevin O'Leary declared he was out in not so many words. He actually said that Mark was destined to fail and would never make a sale. Are you sure about that, Mr. Wonderful? Mattress Firm, the U.S.'s largest mattress retailer, announced they'd be partnering up with BedJet a week after the episode aired. And Mark saw a 300% rise in sales within 2 years of his appearance on Shark Tank. As of 2022, the company sold over 200,000 units. Next came co-owners who actually rejected the sharks. Kodiak Cakes actually started operations in 1982 and was based out of, wait for it, a little red wagon. That's right, 8-year-old Joel would push his wagon around the neighborhood and sell his mother's packaged pancake mixture. Fast forward to 2014, and Joel's on Shark Tank looking for an investment for the family business. Joel and his business partner, Cameron Smith, were asking for $500,000 in exchange for 10% of the company. That might sound like a hefty valuation for prepackaged pancake mixes, but Kodiak Cakes had somewhat of a store presence even before their appearance in Season 5. The company was stocking at Safeways and Targets around the country, but they needed a shark on board to really sell the product worldwide. Lori and Mark pulled out immediately, even though they loved the product, and the other 3 sharks, Robert, Barbara, and Kevin, made their offers. Robert, however, wanted 35% of the company, and Kevin and Barbara jointly wanted 50%. That was way more than what Kodiak Cakes was prepared to give, and they decided it was best to walk away. It really was for the best, because fast forward to today, and Kodiak Cakes is selling like hotcakes. In just 6 weeks after the episode aired, the company turned over its first million. That's really saying something, considering that just 2 years before their appearance on Shark Tank, the company was on the verge of bankruptcy. In 2016, the brand made a deal with Sunrise Strategic Partners and boosted their net worth to $200 million. Econuts never had a fighting chance inside the tank, but managed to generate over $1 million in sales, all because of their appearance on the show. Mona Weiss and Scott Shields came onto the show to pitch their healthy laundry idea that harnessed the beneficial properties of Himalayan lychee nuts. According to Mona, the nut releases its own natural soap, and 4 or 5 of these bad boys were enough to do a whole load of laundry. They came with a game plan and strong finances, something the sharks enjoy. The company had made over $100,000 in 2011 and turned over $250,000 in 2012. It made sense why they were now asking for $175,000 for a 15% stake. But the sharks didn't bite, mostly because they couldn't see the business idea as anything more than a fad. Well, it wasn't. In fact, the company turned over $1 million in revenue in 2021, which is ironic considering how Kevin told Scott that would never happen. Mona left the company sometime in 2015, and after meeting EcoNut's desired goal and showing Kevin that his product wasn't a fad after all, Scott announced that he was ready to retire. Lip Bar had heart, but the sharks wanted numbers. Melissa Butler came onto the show in 2015 with her range of colorful and hydrating lipsticks. Also, they were completely handmade. Yup, Melissa made each and every one of them by herself at home. That's dedication right there. And while the sharks commended her for it, they just didn't see a future for Lip Bar. In fact, the investors told her it'd be better for Melissa to just cut her losses and quit while she was ahead. Melissa actually commented on Kevin and Damon's remarks later on and called them unnecessarily cruel. So, fueled by spite, what did Melissa do? She turned over $1 million in profit for her company. That's right. As of 2022, Lip Bar products are being stocked in 142 Targets nationwide. The company's also started a mobile lip bar, which is always a main attraction wherever it goes. Mealenders does exactly what you think it does. There really is a product out there for everything, and Mark Bernstein's Mealenders solves an all-too-common problem: overeating. The CEO pitched the idea of lozenges that were designed and manufactured, keeping in mind the whole psychological aspect of overeating, and vowed to curb a problem many people deal with. The sharks, especially Kevin, who spat out the product, didn't seem too impressed until Mark brought out the big guns: sales. He was entering the tank as a successful businessman who'd already turned over a $1 million profit with his business. Still, he left the tank without any investments, yet somehow he became an even more successful businessman. Mealenders reportedly made over 400,000 sales in just a week after its episode aired. The only problem, actually, was not being able to meet demand. That's right. It was a good problem to have for a while and helped Mark turn over another couple of millions. But he ultimately decided to close up shop for good in February 2023. We saved the best for last, and that's Ring. You've probably heard of Ring, but did you know that it was originally Doorbot? Jamie Siminoff founded the company in 2013, and at the time of his appearance on the show, he valued his company at $7 million. While the sharks didn't hate Jamie's idea, they didn't really see much of a future for it. Ironic, right? Kevin O'Leary was the only one with a good eye, and he did make Jamie an offer, which apparently he could refuse. Jamie left the tank without any investments for his startup company, but fast forward to 2023, and Ring is valued at billions of dollars. A huge chunk of change came in 2018, when Amazon acquired the company for anywhere between $1.2 and $1.8 billion. Jamie was able to kick his feet up and retire after that, and it opened up his schedule for other interests. In probably one of the world's best redemption stories, Jamie actually returned to the show in 2018 as one of the judges. In fact, all of these failed products make for some great comeback stories. It really makes you think, doesn't it? What if they had received and accepted an offer from the sharks? Would Lip Bar have been as successful? Would Ring have still been Doorbot? Would we ever know comfort like we know Bedjet? It's not enough to say, but one thing's for sure. These companies had the most successful failed pitches ever on Shark Tank. So, from the world's best redemption story as featured on Shark Tank to a climate-controlled bed that made no sense to the sharks, that was a list of Shark Tank rejects that became super successful.